What's up, guys? We are back. Marcel P here, coming at you today with a new Clash Royale video. Supercell just released new balance changes coming out in January 23. If you guys haven't seen them, definitely check it out. Two of the more important changes I want to say in the balance update are nerfs to Zap and Log. And with these changes, there's a lot of speculation that Zap bait decks are going to be crazy in the next update. And so I want to focus this video on how to beat Zap bait decks. Right here we have a typical variation of your Zap bait deck. And one of the cards I really want to focus on to start this video out is a Goblin Barrel. I see a lot of people throwing spells or countering the Goblin Barrel inefficiently or at the wrong time, and it really hurts your ability to then form a push when you don't have your spells in hand, or you've just taken way too much chip damage over the course of the game. And so you guys all know you can play any troop really to prevent as much damage as you can on the Goblin Barrel, but there are a couple cards that really require a bit of a bit more mechanics to make sure you're being as efficient as you can when defending the Goblin Barrel. And so let's go ahead and take a look at these cards here. If you play the bowler a bit late, you are going to suffer some damage. If you play the bowler on time, you will negate all damage. If you place the Valkyrie in the back or the side, she'll only kill one goblin. If you place the Valkyrie front and center, she will kill two goblins. If you place Fire Spirits late, they won't kill the goblins in time. If you play the Fire Spirits early, they will negate all damage. If you're late with your skeleton army, you'll suffer a couple stabs. Play the Skarmy early so it spreads and prevents all damage. Furnace prevents a lot of damage and maintains its value. If the barrel is off center, Ice Spirit can negate all damage. Alright guys, hopefully now we have a good number of tricks up our sleeves ready to deal with these Goblin Barrels without necessarily having to use our Zap or our Log. What I want to do next is go over some gameplay and let's see how we then use some of these things we learned, and how the play around Goblin Barrel is really what dictates whether we're able to push or not, and how we're able to use that to set us up for these pushes where we will have our spells in hand and ready to deal with their skeleton armies and minion hordes. So let's get right into it. Alright guys, so in this game we're playing a Hog deck against your typical Zap bait. To start out, he plays Goblin Barrel, which I'm fine with. We're just gonna, we don't have Zap in hand, but as I said earlier, we don't really want to use Zap against those barrels anyway. So right here, I'm gonna pause just for a little bit, and so we just defended a barrel without using Zap, and so that means we're gonna be able to force him to use a counter that's not Minion Horde or Skeleton Army. And with a Hog deck, that's good, right? Because we can outcycle whatever counter like a Furnace or a Bowler he has. Again, just to reiterate, the reason why he's not going to be able to use Skeleton Army and he's not going to be able to use Minion Horde is we're going to have both spells in hand. So I'll play right here. We're able to force out one of his Hog counters, which is a good thing for us actually. Because now we know what it is, number one, and number two, we can probably outcycle it just because of how much cheaper our deck is. So right here, we are able to just play a pretty basic defense. Cannon into a bowler, it's fine. Right here, I probably should have fireballed. I was a little late, so I decided not to. And we play a pretty inefficient defense, and so he's able to capitalize that a little bit. Capitalize on that by playing the Goblin Barrel. And so right there, I had to Zap, right? He had the bowler tanking, I had to Zap. It's pretty obvious play. But what this means now is, even though my Musketeer is going to be alive, it's going to shoot down the Furnace, I'm not going to be able to play the Hog. And so we've basically lost our opportunity, number one, to outcycle this bowler. But most importantly, we have to recognize that we can't get value out of a Hog here. He could easily just Skeleton Army everything, and we don't have Zap ready. So a big part of playing Zap bait decks is knowing when to go and when to chill. So right here we chill. And we know he's back to Boulder because he's played 4 cards since then. So our only hope to outcycle it, and we're still in single elixir, we only have 40 seconds left. So our only hope here is to try and trick him, maybe play Bowler without actually playing the Hog there. So I do that with the Ice Golem on the left. This is one way to try and get your opponents to play their counters. This is one way to try to beat your opponents when they have counters to you. And you're still in single elixir, you're running out of time. It's sort of a risk you might have to take in some cases, like here. I really had to. Otherwise, I'd run into double elixir, and I'd never be able to outcycle both his Furnace and his Bowler. So right here, we trick him up, and we really need to take advantage at this point. And if you've been paying attention to the cycle, which you really should against Zap Bait, you'll know he's not going to have, number one, enough elixir to play a mirrored Bowler, because he just played his first one. And second, his only good counter in hand is Minion Horde, right? You can clearly see it up top there. But during the game, if you're paying attention to the cycle, you'll be able to notice that. And he's really in a world of hurt here. That's his only option, is the Minion Horde, and we have Fireball in hand. And so I wouldn't even really call these prediction spells. These are more like you back your opponent into a wall. They only have one option, and you have the counter for their one option, right? And that's when you throw these quote-unquote prediction spells, and then you get huge value on it. And so right here, he's still, even after taking that damage, I would still say I'm even ahead at this point, just from a rotation perspective, because he had to play Bowler, he had to play Minion Horde. So again here, guys, he's played 3 expensive cards in a row. He's played Bowler, Minion Horde, Furnace. He played Log, but he hasn't played 4 cards yet since his last Bowler, right? So he's not back to Bowler, he's not back to Minion Horde. His Furnace is in a place where I can actually jump around it. So right here, we pretty much take the game by jumping around the Furnace. And we have Zap ready for the Skeleton Army, so that he knows it. That's why he doesn't even play the Skeleton Army. But yeah, I'm going to end the clip right here. These Hog decks usually end up really taking the game in single elixir, especially against Zap Bait. But as you can see, the real main points are you want to be keeping track of their cycle. You don't want to zap the Goblin Barrel as much as possible. That way you force out their hard counters. Then you can either outcycle their hard counters or try and get tricky to bait out the hard counters. And then, because you've been paying attention to rotation, you're able to throw these spells to get huge value as your main push comes down. Alright guys, so in this clip here, we're playing a typical Bowler Graveyard deck versus the classic Zap Bait that's been going around with Mirror. At this point of the game, we're getting pretty close to double elixir, and we're about even in tower damage, about even in elixir. So it's a good point to start looking at what kind of plays we're looking to make here. At this point in the game, I've studied his rotation enough to know he has mirror and cycle at this point. And one of the most important things with a Graveyard versus Zap Bait matchup is paying attention to their mirror. Mirror is going to be their one way they can really shut down the Graveyard combo. Any Graveyard combo is going to be shut down by a mirrored Skeleton Army or a mirrored Minion Horde. But if they don't have it, you can always zap the Skarmy. You can Fireball the Minion Horde. So at this point, I'm not, even though I have Ice Golem and Graveyard coming up, I'm not going to play it until I see him give up the mirror. I'm taking some time here in the beginning to explain, but so with Zap Bait cards, they usually have a lot of reaction sort of cards, right? Like Skeleton Army, Minion Horde, those aren't really good cards to play into just into an empty field, right? And so if you sort of wait them out, more often than not, they're going to end up giving up the mirror card because they don't have that many good plays to make. If you're just sort of playing really neutral, at some point, most of these Zap Bait decks are going to have to give up the mirror just to make a in order to not make a mistake and make a really, really weird play, they end up having to play the mirror somewhere. So we'll see that here. So we'll go ahead and play. So I know he has mirror at this point, so I'm not going to play aggressive. I'm just making standard plays. Bowler into Furnace is fine. Right here. Right here I don't have much to play, so I just start a Mega Minion in the back. He gives me a pretty good value Fireball, so I'm just going to take it. Not too worried about the Minion Horde. Alright, so right here, guys, I decide not to zap the Goblin Barrel. I think I've talked about this a good amount already, but I'm just going to bring it to attention here. We have enough troops to defend, so we do that. So we make sure we keep Zap in hand in case we have an opening. He plays Minion Horde to defend the Mega Minion. We just hit full elixir, so we drop. And so pay attention to this right here. His minions are coming down the left side. I actually defend with Bowler. Right, we need the Ice Golem to tank for the graveyard. Drop it up front, because we want to be able to initiate the graveyard combo with a cheap drop. So I'm saving Ice Golem. I give up some Bowler health right here, and then notice on the right side he's played his mirrored minion horde, which is perfect for us. So right now is the opening, as we've talked about. He's given up mirror, so right now you can drop the Ice Golem, drop the graveyard, and if you look at his hand, there's really nothing you can do. So if you really set up your graveyard combos against Zap Bait for when they don't have mirror in hand, they're going to be in big trouble, as you can see right there. Alright guys, so in this clip here, we're playing now a much slower cycling deck. We have a giant Elixir Collector deck against the Zap Bait, and I want to show you that it can really differ how you set up your pushes where you have your spells in hand. When you're playing a much slower cycling deck, you can actually afford to use, and you probably want to use your spells on the Goblin Barrel, as long as you know you can then play some cards in the back and then cycle your cards, and then once your push is finally making its way up the river, you'll then have your Fireball, your Zap, or your Log, or whatever have you in hand. So I'll go ahead and play right here. The game's at a pretty neutral position. I have an Elixir Collector down. So he plays his barrel, and as I said, there are times where you actually do want to use your spells on the barrel. Right here, I know he mirrors the barrel. I'm going to use my Zap. I know that I'm not going to be pushing anytime soon, so I can afford to use those spells on the barrel. Now I'm going to play my Giant in the back. And once we start playing some cards here, we'll maybe throw Musketeer, I believe, maybe Ice Golem in front. We're then going to cycle back to the Log and Zap. So it's not really a golden rule that you don't want to use your spells on the barrel. The rule, or the guiding rule of thumb really is you want to have your spells in hand when you have your push going down the road. Whether that's by using the spells on the barrel and then cycling and then getting back to the spells, or whether it's you hold onto the spells because you're going to play a push immediately after the Goblin Barrel. So that is all we've got for today, guys. Hope you're able to pick something up about facing these Zap Bait decks. Good luck when the balance changes come out and everyone starts playing these. Hopefully these tips will come in handy. So that's all I've got. Catch you guys later. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do subscribe and leave a like. And until next time, Marcel P signing off.